Good evening and welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parkland show. My name is Renata von Tscharner and my guest tonight is Jonathan Hecht. John, welcome.
Thank you very much.
John, you are a newly elected state official on the Charles River. So the Charles River and its parklands are partially in your hands now, not only as a town council member of Watertown, but as a state representative. Tell us where your Charles River constituency is, what part of the parklands are in your district.
At the Waltham line and running down to the Cambridge line. There's part of Watertown is on the south side of the river, but most of it is on the north side of the river. And then my district continues down into Cambridge itself, into Ward 9 Cambridge, so along past Mount Auburn Hospital and on down towards Harvard Square. So the Charles is a very, very important part of my. And it's, I was thinking about it before I came in, that in a way it seems almost counterintuitive. I mean, we're struggling so much in terms of the economy and in terms of the state's finances, but I think we have more going on and more exciting things going on along the Charles in my area, and of course it's true further down the river as well. It's really a great time for the Charles.
Well, I think so much is happening because so much work has gone in for a very long time.
I think that's exactly right.
The master planning effort in the late 90s, and now that these projects they were designed, they're shovel ready, and now are ready for the economic stimulus bill, and so that is in a way the fruition of a lot of work that has gone in by many groups.
That's exactly right, including of course the Charles River Conservancy.
Some of it, but I think what is very exciting in Watertown is because the town council members have taken such an active role, and then they got the state elected officials, because this is all state land, to move, because it needs to be done by what is now the DCR. But without the nudging of the abutting community, probably not as much would have happened. So I think both in Watertown and in Newton, as well as in Cambridge, very active citizen, and who then work through their elected officials to nudge the state elected officials, and now you on both sides.
But I think you're exactly right. I mean, because the Charles, particularly in our area here, where we are a densely populated area and don't have a lot of open space, the Charles really becomes so precious to us, and people who live in our communities recognize that, and they value it. And they want to see it preserved, they want to see access improved, and they are demanding it of their public officials, and those of us who have sort of come out of that part of the community are very happy to work on those sorts of issues and try to work with the state, get our community groups involved, and community groups have played a huge part in this. And as you say, the results of many years of effort along those lines is now beginning to pay off.
Let's start with the biggest, the one Nonantum Road. Nonantum Road is, part of it is Boston, I think is Brighton.
Yes.
Part of it is Watertown, and part of it is Newton. I think all three communities come together.
Exactly.
And probably the landmark that most people know would be the Newton Yacht Club or the Daily Rink, or where Charles Bank Road comes down to the Charles. So that's the area. And tell us the exciting news about this project.
Well, the exciting news is that renovation of Nonantum Road and improvement of the parklands along Nonantum Road is being strongly considered for funding under the federal stimulus. It was on the list of projects that the governor put out some months ago as the first group of transportation-related projects that would receive funding under the stimulus. The DCR, which is responsible for that road and those parklands, had already been working for a number of years prior to that to develop a design that would narrow the road.
Traffic calming.
Right.
So in a way, it's often you would think of the term transportation project, but in this case, it actually is a traffic calming, and it improves the pedestrian and the bike facility, and it makes driving safer, because right now it's so wide and car speed, so it will benefit all modes of transportation.
Right, that's exactly what this is about, is improving the safety for drivers, for vehicle drivers, because there have been a number of very, very serious accidents on that road over the years. And when the road is narrowed, there will be enough room on the roadway itself for improved bicycling. And then there will also be an expansion of the parklands, of the green space along the river, and there will be a multi-use path there. And I'm sure people who have been out, I used to run quite a lot along that part of the Charles, and it was always a bit of a scary experience, because you would be running or walking along the path there, and you would be literally have cars coming at you at 45, 50, 55 miles an hour, and in some areas there was no guardrail at all. So you had to be ready at a moment's notice to throw yourself into the bushes or into the river. And now there's going to be a separation.
More of a buffer.
And more importantly, the traffic will be slowed. So it's going to be an improvement in many, many ways.
And right now that path is so narrow in areas that when there are two bicycles crossing, that you barely have enough space for two handlebars.
Right.
Because there's also part of the pathway has fallen into the river.
Yeah.
So to see that project will be wonderful, to see that implemented, because if you then go further downriver from the Newton Yacht Club on Nonantum Road towards where Staples is, there are now 5 miles of new pathway that DCR and the Conservancy and the Solomon Fund all worked on to repave, which are already nice and smooth. So that will then continue that pathway.
Right, that will lead right up to that point.
Yeah, great. Well, that's a wonderful project. Let's cross the river to something that is not that many people know, the monument that is hidden there on Watertown. Tell us about this monument to the, what would you say, the pilgrims, really?
Well, this is the monument that is to the Anglo-Saxon founders of Watertown in 1630. Watertown is one of the oldest communities in Massachusetts. The monument was originally built in 1930 as part of the 300th anniversary of the founding of Watertown. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of public art. The sculptor was a man named Henry Kitson, who you may know because he also did the Minuteman statue in Lexington, as well as a number of other very important pieces of public art. And unfortunately, the way that it was situated along Charles River Road, and then the way in which the vegetation came in over time left it somewhat obscured. And the idea, the statue is of Richard Saltonstall, Sir Richard Saltonstall, who was the founder of Watertown on behalf of the Massachusetts Bay Company, is that right? And he is looking back down the river toward Boston. So now the DCR has, in collaboration with the Solomon Fund and also the Watertown Community Foundation, this public-private partnership, has worked to restore the monument itself, because it had become rather run down, and also to open up the vegetation so that it reintegrates the monument back into the riverfront and the parklands along the riverfront. And